So quiet in here. Morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to our bi-weekly. This is an especially exciting time today for us. I'm certainly delighted to be here with Charles Thornton, who is the director of our Office of Returning Citizens, which we think is a much more dignified way of expressing what Charles does. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I met Charles one day walking down the street. What an advocate he was and continues to be for people who are returning citizens. It was during the time of the campaign. I was walking down 11th Street, got in this conversation with Charles, was very impressed with his knowledge, with his commitment, with his fervor for the issue of how we help people to reenter who have finished their debt to society, as we say. And Charles and I struck up a friendship, started to work together, and when I got this opportunity, he was the person I reached out to do this. So, Charles, I just want to publicly say how proud I am of you, what you have done, and what you continue to do, and you will certainly be a moving force behind what we're doing and announcing today to continue this work. Um, did I say that like you wanted me to? We know that a lot of our returning citizens face enormous roadblocks to being able to get back on the path of normalcy here, frankly, and everywhere else. I want to thank also our federal partners who are working with us. I see my dear friend over here who we've 20 years at least, right, Nancy, that we've worked together. And one of the proud moments for me, too, was when Nancy was named the director of CSOSA. She and I worked together on the youth initiative many years ago. And she, too, has always been a very dedicated professional here in the District of Columbia. Um, the reentry initiative, the D.C. reentry initiative that we're unveiling today, and the creation of what will be a part of this announcement, and that is the One City Reentry Resource Center for returning citizens, will be the cornerstone of our reentry strategy, which has already been launched, and we will ensure that we're in compliance with the federal Second Chance Act. And I think the Justice Department is going to have competitive grants soon to help us with that. Hopefully, we'll be able to be competitive. I think we will. Um, and frankly, while there are many, as we know, federal, state, and local partnerships on a host of issues, there are not too many on reentry at this stage. The Reentry Resource Center that we are launching is considered a national best practice, and it's really not used by very many jurisdictions around the country, and we hope people will come here to see how it's done. It will provide what we consider to be critical services to our district's men and women who are returning from incarceration with the aim of reducing recidivism, which we know is a huge issue, increasing public safety, and saving taxpayer dollars, which is an important issue as well. We have around 2,000 people who return a year from incarceration. And the failure to recognize that and do something constructive about that is just simply inviting people who want to turn their lives around to return to a life they don't want to return to and a life that we don't want them to return to. Um, this new initiative is a part of the Office of Returning Citizens Affairs strategic plan, and we have a 3-year goal that says we want to reduce recidivism by 20% over the next 3 years. Essentially, the goal is to coordinate reentry efforts at the federal, state, and local levels. I don't think anybody can deny that incarceration has had a major impact on our communities and families, both socially and certainly economically, as people come back and can't find jobs when they would like to be able to work. How many of us have been stopped on a street or in a meeting or somewhere else by someone who says, I'm just coming back to the city and I need a job. Can you do something to help me? And we certainly need to do more to be able to realize that goal, because I certainly don't think that we have done enough to help people to be able to turn their lives around and go in another direction. So the Resource Center will do a number of things. It will create access, this is all under one roof. at 2100 Martin Luther King Avenue on the first floor. Everybody knows where 2100 Martin Luther King Avenue is, right? It's a four-story building, and we have lots of services in there. That's one of the reasons why we selected that building. It will create access to job referrals, to digital education, because we know we are increasingly moving towards more and more technology being a fundamental part of what we do here in the city and across the country. In fact, one of the goals of our 5-year economic development plan is to create more technology jobs in the city. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we can create some of those jobs for people who are returning from incarceration? Construction training, which is also a part of our 5-year economic development plan. If you look at the jobs, we're anticipating creating over the next 5 years 100,000 jobs, and 40 to 50% of those jobs will be in the construction industry. Again, we need to make sure every one of the people who lives in the city has an opportunity to have access. Social services, healthcare, and I'm glad Dr. Levin is here today. It will help, especially as we get to 2014, right, Dr. Levin? It will help connect people to what will be universal health care, or essentially universal health care, to licensing that people may need for jobs and other forms of training and assistance. So, with that having been said, and some of you may ask, are we creating a whole set of new programs, etc.? We're not. The goal is to connect people with the support of Charles's office, to connect people with existing services in the District of Columbia. One of the failings, I think, is to, and I believe this not only for this area, but a lot of other areas as well, is to try to create separate, distinct, and never equal service systems. People deserve to be served as a part of the existing generic service system, and Charles will do the coordination, the case management activity, and we will have our own basic service systems adapting to be able to serve folks. So, with that having been said, I'm going to ask Charles if he will come up and provide more details on it. Please welcome Charles Thornton.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out. You know, I'm looking around in the audience, and this is certainly an indication on how important these issues are, and this is to, you know, everyone that's here in the community and in D.C. as a whole. And I definitely want to thank Mayor Gray for the support that he's given us and given me and given the agency since we came, you know, since he came in office. I mean, none of this, in my opinion, is possible without that kind of support. So that, for that, I'm, you know, just forever grateful for that. I wrote something down today. I did this a couple of times, and I'm always tongue-tied and messed up. So today I'm gonna kind of read it, you know. Yeah. So again, before I do anything, I have to acknowledge my staff. I mean, we have a short staff, and we just been doing, you know, in my opinion, amazing work. And we very few. But first, where's Miss Oliver? Miss Oliver, I know she in here. Miss Oliver, our staff assistant. Victor Battle, who is our job developer, over here in the corner. And the deputy director, Dr. Jerry Brown. I also want to acknowledge the mayor's cabinet. You know, we have a lot of people who have really been supporting me, and I truly appreciate the support that I've been getting. And we're really looking to keep this moving. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to connect a lot of people with services that already exist. Just as the mayor was saying, a little bit of coordination, connectivity, and we're going to go a major way in helping to reduce recidivism, which is the goal and the key of this initiative. Reducing recidivism, and when you do that, you improve public safety. You know, and let us be real clear that, you know, this is truly about getting men and women who have returned to the District of Columbia, in some cases from long periods, long stints of incarceration, opportunities to succeed. We focusing on the men and women who are looking for the opportunity to succeed, and I think we owe them that. We owe everybody an opportunity to put their lives back on track. And that's the key and the cornerstone of what this initiative is all about. And being able to bring those services under one roof in a coordinated effort is worth its weight in gold. As the mayor was saying, it's a best practice, but unfortunately, it's not being practiced in most, municipalities around the nation. And actually, there's only 3 other jurisdictions that are doing this. And I can proudly say, even those jurisdictions will not be able to do it the way that we're doing it. We're doing it special because we're able to work with the federal partners. Most localities, they don't always play together in the sandbox, but through our communications, through our networks, through just knowing each other, we're able to sit down and hack out, opportunities where we can succeed. And I'm very clear that, when we come together and do this, in my opinion, it's a can't miss. For everyone that's released, that's looking for an opportunity, we have enough right here with the federal resources, the local resources, and need I not forget the nonprofit and even the for-profit community-based organizations in the faith community. We have enough resources that everyone who wants an opportunity in the District of Columbia can have that chance. So we're going to, continue with this. We're going to pull all these resources together. It's already working. That's the good thing about it. It's already working. All we're doing today is memorializing what we've been doing for the last 2 years. So with that, I didn't read nothing off of this. So I think I'm getting a little better. And I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you.
And Charles had all those notes in front of him. I don't think his eyes went down to them once. And I can tell you, knowing Charles as well as I do, he didn't need those notes. So, it's always a comfort zone, I suppose, to have them in front of you just in case. But I haven't ever seen him need notes because this is in his heart. And if there's a better person for this job, I certainly don't know who it is, to be honest with you. I have to tell you something else also. I'm looking around this room. Coordination is going to be a very important part of what he does. And I'm mighty impressed. How many cabinet members are there? There's, our DCHRs back there, DOES. We got the whole 2 rows up here. Good job, Charles. Now, everybody, let's show up, as we move forward. So, again, I want to thank the cabinet members, too, for being here. I acknowledged Nancy being here, but we also have Cedric Hendricks, who is a longtime colleague, longtime friend who's done a lot of work in this area. And Cedric, we're glad to have you here today, and we want to hear from you at this point.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my director, Nancy Ware here, I want to thank you all for coming out. And I want to say that the Court Services and Offender Supervision Agency is proud to be a partner with the District of Columbia government in the Reentry Initiative and in the implementation of the new Reentry Resource Center. As the mayor said, we see about 2,000 men and women return home from the federal prison system each year, and they have abundant needs: housing, health care, education, and employment. And the district government is able to respond in each of those areas. Over the past several years, we have worked with the Department of Housing and Community Development. I see Michael Kelly here, who, when he was at the Housing Authority, we met with years ago, talking about how we could collaborate to meet housing needs. I see Dr. Levin here. APRA is one of our key partners, and certainly the Department of Health. I can't tell you how many folks we facilitated getting on Alliance Healthcare in order to meet their needs. The District of Columbia Community College has been a great partner in addressing many of the educational needs. So all of that has mattered and made a difference. Key, however, has been the area of employment. Lisa Mallory, the director of the Department of Employment Services, is a critical partner in this effort. I've been blessed by the mayor to be put on the Workforce Investment Council so that the interests of this constituency can be represented there. And as there are conversations going on about training programs and opportunities to connect people with jobs, the needs of returning citizens are part of the conversation, and we're getting those jobs. We have an active working relationship with Charles and his team and Victor. I remember being over at the Shad Educational Center where there was an opening over there, and we were able to talk to some of the instructors about how our clients from CSOSA were doing in the HVAC and the electrical training program, and how many had already gone forward and gotten jobs. So that's what the district has done for us already as a partner. We look forward to the future with all of these resources under one roof, because that's what's going to make it more convenient and accessible for the men and women that we're focused on, where they can go to one place, get the case management and the partnership, the services that they need to be successful. I want to acknowledge a friend and a partner back there, Paul Quander. Paul was the first director of CSOSA, and it was under his leadership that we began doing some incredible things with respect to reentry. Many of you know, for example, that every quarter we connect through our partnership with the Federal Bureau of Prisons with men and women in federal prisons across the country doing what we call Community Resource Day, where not just district government representatives, but many of our community partners talk to those men and now women about their needs, and so they can make direct connections. So that, for example, when Ron Swanson from D.C. Central Kitchen talks about their next training class, and somebody out there at FCI Fairton says, hey, when I get out, I want to sign up for that. So you remember me because I'm coming to see you. That's what's now possible because of Paul's leadership. We started out putting video conferencing equipment at Rivers. And now, we at the last one had Rivers plus 6 other prisons, and from a conversation I just had with one of your colleagues, Bill Semino, we may add 11 additional prisons to that video conference on February 26th when we do it next. So that's what's possible through collaboration. We get the men and women who are coming home the access that they need to services, the direct connections with the service providers, provide them the opportunity to build relationships that they can count on to get what they need to succeed. So I want to congratulate Charles, look forward to working with him and his team, and thank the mayor and all of the cabinet members here for all that they do to make this a successful enterprise. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right.
Cedric, I want to thank you for mentioning Paul. I was going to do that too, so it's a nice segue. Paul, of course, is our deputy mayor for public safety and justice, and really does an incredible job. And you just heard a bit of his professional history, and there's a lot more that we didn't hear today, and I won't cite, but he will be overseeing what Charles does in his office. So I can't think of anybody better, frankly, to be in a situation like that to support directly what Charles is doing every day. So, Paul, thank you for what you do every day for our city. We also have our Chief U.S. Probation Officer for the District of Columbia, Janine Hager, who is with us today. Come on up and join us.
Good morning, everyone. Like the mayor said, I am Janine Hager. I'm the Chief United States Probation Officer for the District of Columbia. I have worked in the U.S. Probation Office in D.C. for over 24 years, and I am so pleased that the city officials made the decision to establish the Office on Returning Citizens Affairs. The U.S. Probation Office has been working with this office, with Charles's office, since it was created. What you may not know is that each month they come to the federal courthouse and participate in a supervision orientation for those individuals who are just beginning their term of federal supervision. And we are so appreciative of that. And Victor is there faithfully every month. He lets them know the services that are available in the city. He welcomes them back. He tells them to come down to their office. And the thing that I like the most is that their office, they follow through on what they tell the individuals who are on supervision. And the other thing that I think is so great about the office, Charles, is that you all help individuals with almost any issue. And you can clearly see that by the representation of all the agencies that are partners in the MOU that we are going to sign today. This collaboration is to provide a broader range of services in a more cohesive and efficient manner. One of the newer issues that we're facing in the on the federal supervision side in U.S. District Court is that of an aging federal supervision population. Our statistics show that approximately 10% of those on supervision in D.C. in the U.S. District Court age 55 are age 55 and older. So that's a significant amount of people we have who need the services of the Department of Aging. And I'm happy that Director Thornton has collaborated with the Department of Aging and will work to help attain services for this population of returning citizens. Again, it's just one of the many things that your office does, Charles, that benefits the criminal justice system in our city, and I'm so very grateful. We're always great. You're a great help to our office, to our federal judges, and to just the court in general and the community, and I appreciate it. And in addition to Director Thornton is his great staff. He has a very small staff, but whenever we call, we make referrals there. Charles, like I said, Victor comes every month. Paula, I'm on the phone with quite frequently, and we really appreciate your hard-working staff. It is because of you and your staff that I know that this Reentry Resource Center will be a great asset to this community. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all of your support. Thank you.
You know, coordination has been mentioned by virtually every one of us up here, and I just want you to see, I mentioned that there are cabinet members in the room. I'm going to ask cabinet members who are here, they direct various and sundry agencies, or if you're standing up, just to raise your hand. Stand up or raise your hand. Thank you. And my point in doing this was to make the point, frankly, that we are really serious about this, because Charles cannot be successful without the involvement and the help of the people who are in this room today. And there are others who will be facilitating it as well. Because again, as was just acknowledged by Ms. Hager, he has a relatively small staff. But I just think it's not the right approach to try to create a whole separate system that will never be fully supported, because it is a separate system. Let's make this a part of the inherent work of the government, and where our likelihood of success is much greater, I think, as a result. We're also joined by the co-chairman of the Mayor's Commission on Reentry, Dr. Roosevelt Cohens, and I would like to hear from Dr. Cohens at this stage. Come on up, sir. And just so you're clear that we have one more cabinet member who came in. Of course, you know, his role is one of the most important in government, and that is our city administrator, Alan Liu.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Abar Ghani. What's happening in the community? That's a good thing. And I'd like to first thank the mayor and his cabinet for this move today. So I bring words from the District of Columbia Commission on Reentry for Returning Citizens. And a bunch of men and women that have gotten together were chosen by the mayor to lead this initiative. And we get together every month and we hash out different issues. Charles's office is always there. We appreciate their support. And what we did was, the office hadn't been active, and we appreciate you making the office active and bringing the members in. And what we had to do was, we had to first put together a mission statement so that we could know what we were doing and where we were going and who we wanted to serve and what we wanted to do. So the mission of the Reentry Commission is to advocate for and improve the quality of life for returning citizens and their families. The commission analyzes policy and legislation and provides advice and guidance that seeks to influence the executive branch in the district council and the community. And we've been working real hard and collaboratively with Charles and his office. And I don't have to tell you guys about the energy and the effort and the synergy that Charles brings to this effort. So we've been working with him on a real good initiative. And one of the things that I want to say, and I've heard a lot about collaboration here today, and I want to say that for me it's imperative, and it has to happen, that when we leave this room, that we still be in a collaborative mode so that we can bring the services that we need to these men and women that are returning to Washington, D.C. And Charles and I had a conversation the other day, and I speak from walking in those shoes. You know, I'm not speaking from a theoretic perspective. You know, I've been there, and I know how hard it is. And a lot of times we get people that say, well, why do you do something special for people that are returning? You got people who haven't been incarcerated that need the services. So it's kind of like a double whammy. So, you know, I just wanted to bring a few words from the commission, representing our chairwoman, Reverend Kelly Wilkins, and just wanted to make y'all aware that we're up and running, and we do have some other organizations that are involved. So we want to get y'all on board and bring you into some of the meetings that we're going to be having. So once again, I just want to reiterate, Charles, we enjoy working with you, man. You know, keep doing what you're doing. We like the effort that you're doing, you know, what you're putting together, and how important it is to be able to put all of the services in place that men and women need when they come home. Because if a person gets a job, but they don't have a place to stay, you know, that's not going to work for them. You know, a lot of times one of the first things we know they need, I see Cedric nodding his head, is that we try to do is anger management. You know, they have to be desensitized. You know what I mean? Have to get down to the core of what's going on. I heard the mayor talking about recidivism. What is it that's going to keep these men and women home from going back to prison? And I heard Charles say the major thing is public safety, so that we all will be safe out here in the street. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out for this precious issue. Thank you.
Well, again, I want to thank Charles. I want to thank all of our speakers. We're going to open it up for questions. You know, I want to thank Dr. Cohens also for being here. When we got here, it's hard to believe, but in our boards and commissions, there were about 900 vacancies, which means we had virtually no infrastructure there at all. And today, with the leadership of our chief of staff, with the leadership of our Darrell Gorman, who now leads that office, we have made 850 appointments. And you can see the importance of it with a with a commission like this, where you get citizen input, you get informed input to help us be able to put together services in the right way, and then to help us oversee those services. So, Dr. Cohens, you are an important part of this effort, specifically, and then symbolically, just showing what citizen input, the importance of citizen input here in the city. So, with that having been said, let us open up questions to the media. Oh, right. I guess we better sign first, right? Yeah, yeah. You know what? We've gone beyond an MOU. This is going to be a mayor's order, which means it would have to be rescinded, and it's certainly not going to be rescinded with me. I can tell you that. And I would love to be around if somebody, whoever in the future, you know, 15 years from now in the future, somebody tries to rescind this order. The only reason it should be rescinded is because every returning citizen has a job and a place to live in the District of Columbia, and we got a ways to go to make that happen. So, come on over, Charles.
I've asked a few people to come up while we do this. Mr. Sawyer, Mr. Farrakhan, too, and the other folks. Come on, Tom. Mr. Faust. Director Burns, Rob Mancini.
All right, questions from the media?
We have questions. We're just waiting for our cameras.
I see. Hey, while we're waiting, did you all know that Mark Seagraves, Mark Seagraves, formerly of WTOP, is now moving to Channel 4, where he will be an on-camera reporter. And there are some of us who knew this was coming. It's just a day, whatever day it would happen. So, Mark, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate you. I guess that means now we get more. We get more of the inquiries, I'll put it that way, from you. But congratulations on your new position.
I have a few questions. First, I don't know if you guys mentioned it. Can anybody tell me what the process is for restoring voting rights to convicted felons who are returning to the district?
The process for restoring voting rights in the District of Columbia is just this. Every individual that walk out of incarceration, rights have been restored already to vote in the District of Columbia. If you're on parole, probation, supervised release, and you've been released to the district, you can vote in mayoral and federal elections. Even while you're still incarcerated, if you're being incarcerated under a misdemeanor offense, you are eligible to vote in the District of Columbia. If you're incarcerated and you're in the process of going through trial, you haven't been convicted of anything, your right to vote still exists. So the district is way ahead of most jurisdictions as it relates to restoring rights back to individuals who've been convicted of crimes. If you look next door in Maryland, in Virginia, you have to petition the governor in Virginia in order to get your voting rights restored. So we've taken care of that in the district. Thanks.
Yeah, there's some changes being made by our neighbors, or proposed anyway, that actually would bring them, I think, where we already are, right?
And then can I ask, what is the unemployment rate of felons returning to the District of Columbia?
Well, probably when they return, 100%.
Well, do you know right now the number of the people who are under court supervision or who would qualify for these services? Do you know what their unemployment rate is?
I don't know the specific number. Do you, or you, Cedric?
Our experience is that about 50%.
I'm sorry, at the microphone.
Our experience has been that about 50% of our employable clients are unemployed. Now, one of the things that, of course, we're still challenged by our employers who just say no, regardless of the nature of your conviction, how long ago it may have been. We have a number of individuals who have skills, who have degrees, who are still challenged in their ability to secure employment. So that is an area where, as I indicated during my remarks, we're working very closely with the D.C. Department of Employment Services, particularly with respect to the Transitional Employment Program, to move people onto a path toward employment. And, the hope is that with some of the legislation that was recently passed, we'll see more of a positive response from the business community.
Mayor Gray, do you know how many of the people? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to add, we've been working diligently with employers, and actually we have some of those employers right here. Kia Monte Construction, you mind standing, joint venture on Ballou High School. So we have a program that we work directly with Kia Monte through the office to make sure that returning citizens are included in that program. We also got Nigel Parkinson back there, one of the joint ventures on Ballou High School. Dunbar, working directly with them. And actually, Nigel, they've changed their whole application process. Where on their application process, it includes the Office of Return and Citizen Affairs. So we act as their vetting authority. We send people directly to them that's ready to go to work. And that's the kind of synergy that all this has created in the District of Columbia. So we really on point to get these guys back to work.
Think he's on top of it? Any other questions from the media? If not, we'll move into the general questions. And some of you who are here only for this, if you'd like to leave, we won't be offended if you leave. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you want to stay for the rest of this, you're welcome to it. But if you'd like to leave now, we'll give you a minute to exit. Wait a minute, Mark. I want to give people who may want to leave a chance to go.
What's the budget for the initiative?
The what?
The budget for the initiative?
The budget for the identify yourself.
I'm Justin Moyer from the Washington Post.
Okay. I don't know that that's an easy question to answer because one, we could give you the budget for Charles's office, which we're willing to do that. But in order to understand what this is going to involve, you'd have to look across every agency. You'd have to look in the DOES and see how much they're going to spend on training. You'd have to look at OCTO and see how much they're going to contribute to this, or to Department of Human Services. So it would take a bit for us to put all of that together. I think the essential point, though, is that instead of creating a separate budget for this, we're tapping into the government's resources at a generic level and saying to every agency, you have a responsibility to help returning citizens be able to effectively and constructively integrate back into the society of the District of Columbia. So I wouldn't look at it that way if I were you. I would look at it from the perspective of this being a compelling mandate to every agency, and that is, if you have a responsibility to serve people in the District of Columbia, therefore you have a responsibility to serve people who are returning from incarceration.
And will any new positions be created?
No, no. Let's put it this way. If, for example, Lisa Mallory, has started to have a greater demand for training or placement services as a result of this, we would look at her agency to add people to. So it wouldn't be that we're looking to create this huge office, under Charles. That's going to be a lean and mean operation, managed, overseen, if you will, by Deputy Mayor Quander. And of course, C. Sosa, who's been a great partner with us, will continue to be, and they have an apparatus as well that will be involved in a number of these services. So I think if you want to spend the time on it, we can help you put the pieces together, but I just don't think it's appropriate to say what is the budget for this particular initiative, because that really, I think, doesn't observe the spirit of what we're trying to do. Matt?
There have been a couple of allusions here today to Councilmember Berry's legislation from last year relating to returning citizens. Is that something that you want to see council revisit maybe in the new session? Is it something that you would support?
I really haven't looked further at that. We've really focused on what we're doing through the Office of Returning Citizens, so I really don't have a comment on this. We think what Charles has been doing through his office and what we will continue to do and build will make an important contribution to helping returning citizens reintegrate into the District of Columbia. Beyond that, we haven't really looked at any other legislative initiatives, those passed, those pending, or those that may be coming down the pike. Mark?
Are you taking questions on other subjects?
You can be sure I'll let you know when that time comes. Anybody else have any other questions on this? I'm now taking questions on other subjects. Thanks, Charles. You said
The President finally, after 4 years, put the taxation without representation plate on. And I've heard from reports in the White House itself that is the extent of the commitment, and that we are to be appreciative of that commitment. What is your strategy to make sure that the President does more than just put the plate on, which is appreciated, but that you said it's a beginning? What do you want to happen next? And he's giving a State of the Union message on February 12th do you expect him to mention, since he mentioned the question of equality in the inaugural, and I thought grievously didn't include the District of Columbia as being one of the victims of inequality. What do you expect from this administration now, besides showing solidarity by putting the plate on?
Well, first thing, Mark, I would share with you the comment that we are appreciative that that was done. But put in context, it's a beginning. It's symbolism, it's symbolic, and symbolism certainly has its place. It's important, but it doesn't really establish any new rights for the people of the District of Columbia. What I hope is that it is a catalyst for more action by the president. I would hope, Mark, that in his State of the Union speech, that he would specifically talk about the District of Columbia and the second-class citizenship to which we've been relegated. And one of those that seems eminently easy to me is budget autonomy. You know, you get me started now, okay? But the District of Columbia raises $6 billion annually from our taxpayers, the people who pay income taxes, sales taxes, property taxes in the District of Columbia, just like anywhere else. But differently than anybody else, we have to send our budget to the president. We have to send our budget to Congress to be approved. When in fact, I think we have demonstrated enormously high level of responsibility in managing the money of this city. We just had the announcement of the audit yesterday. We had a $417 million surplus. We have a fund balance now, a bank account that is probably the envy of every jurisdiction in America. So if one needs an example, and needs to see a case of why this should be supported, there it was yesterday, and there it continues to be day in and day out. I think we've had 17 consecutive years of balanced budgets, and now we have what's called structurally balanced budgets, Mark. And that means we're not spending any more money than comes in the door. We're not reaching into the bank account to put money into the budget in order to balance it. We're living on the means of what comes in the door each day and each year in the city. The president has put in his budget for fiscal year 13 support for budget autonomy. But anybody who's seen the federal budget, it is a document that is that thick. And if you have read the federal budget, you need to get a life because you really don't have enough to fill up your time. If there are 100 people who have read that outside the government, I'd be surprised. But frankly, there are millions who will listen to the president's State of the Union speech. And I want him to stand up and say simply what he already has done, and that is he is in favor of and will work for supporting budget autonomy for the people of the District of Columbia. And then the next step would be to support our ability to approve our own laws in the District of Columbia, and to support a vote for our Congresswoman who does an outstanding job. She's in her 12th term now. And then, down the road somewhere, we don't know where, but once all of these steps are established, we should become the 51st state in the United States of America, the state of New Columbia.
That's a great segue. Senator Carper of Delaware has offered a bill with 3 other co-sponsors for
That's
statehood.
right. Durbin, Murray, and
Boxer.
That's right, Boxer from California.
Tell me, have you met with Senator Carper? And are you in favor of a strategy? I realize the Republicans control the House and the bill won't be brought up. But I want to ask you specifically, are you in favor of a strategy? Democrats control the Senate. There are 55 Democrats in the Senate, where there be a vote in the Senate on statehood, as long as the Democrats take advantage of the Democratic majority. In '93, Cedric is a veteran. I remember that there was a vote in statehood in the House, but there was never a vote in the United States Senate. Now that there is a majority, and would you be in favor of that political strategy?
Absolutely, Mark. I mean, I don't look at that bill having been introduced for ceremonial purposes. I look at it as an action that should be taken that is now pending before the Senate. With 4 senators having signed on, that is a huge step in the right direction. Senator Joe Lieberman introduced a bill just before he left to accomplish the same thing because he wanted to make a statement about what should happen to bring equality to the 632,000 people who live in the city. So the answer is yes. And a lot of people don't realize it, but our population is not only growing in this city, but our population is larger than 2 states now. It's larger than Wyoming, larger than Vermont. So don't you think we could figure out, probably take us about an hour and a half, if that, to figure out where the state of New Columbia is and where the federal presence is in the city? And we have other cities that have a federal presence. You have regional offices in places like Denver and San Francisco and Philadelphia and New York. There's a huge federal presence in every one of those places, and they don't seem to have any difficulty in determining what's federal and what's, city and state.
Finally, why has the president taken this long? Or why do you think?
I don't know.
Personally, he seems to be indifferent and ignore the place in which he lives.
Well, in his first term, Mark, you have to be concerned about re-election, and he had lots of things he had to do. He had wars going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. He inherited a horrific fiscal condition, and I think he has made progress on all of those fronts. Given the progress that's been made, and given the fact that he doesn't have to worry about re-election because he is term limited, I think it opens the door widely to him being able to become a vigorous and vocal advocate for this city, and I hope he will. The other Mark.
I agree on the surplus that you announced yesterday. A couple of questions. Are you considering the possibility of a tax rebate to taxpayers, considering you have this extra money around as a way to maybe stimulate the economy or give money back to the taxpayers?
Not at this time, Mark. First of all, our economy is booming in the District of Columbia. I mean, look at the development that has taken place in the city. There are 55 cranes. We have 55 crane permits that are actively in place. I don't think there's any other city in America that can say that at this point. During the time I've been in office, the 24 months I've been in office, 28,000 jobs in the private sector have been created, and we're looking to continue to do that. So I think our economy is moving exceedingly well. And frankly, there's some other needs that we have to meet, and I'm looking forward to being able to address those needs in the months ahead. I'm looking at David Burns, who is looking at me, because David has an enormous responsibility, and that is the District of Columbia, for whatever reasons, and I think they were benevolent, never implemented welfare reform in this city when it was implemented 16 and a half years ago nationally. Basically, what the city said is when the 5 years are up, we will pay out of our pocket to people to continue to be supported by the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families program. While I think that's benevolent in one sense, I think all it does is keep people dependent. So with David's leadership, we are investing more now in getting assessments done. I think we've gone from having 9 people who did assessments to 35 people who do assessments now, or something close to it. We are aggressively stepping up training. We've actually moved since January of 2011, 3,300 people off of the TANF rolls and into jobs, 550 in the last quarter alone, which means we're at an accelerating pace. So we've got needs, to get people off the dependency roles of the District of Columbia. We need to make investments in housing so we continue to have a diverse population. Our workforce hasn't had a raise in a very long time. So there's some needs that exist in this city that I want to see are met. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard from anybody who says, we want a tax rebate. I think people are more interested in seeing the city work well. And I think the city is working well at this stage. People are willing to pay for something that works for them. They don't want to pay for something that doesn't work.
How about the tax rate that is set to sunset in 2014? Would you consider having that sunset earlier, or would you consider there was another tax increase that was supposed to sunset? The council did away with the sunset provision and it remained in place. Do you want to see that? I can't remember 8 point whatever rate that it went up.
It went from 8.5 to 8.95.
Do you want to see it sunset earlier?
I have no plans right now to do something other than what's already required by law.
So 2014.
Yes. All right. Thank you all very much.